Spanish speakers love vowel sounds. In Spanish, every vowel is pronounced. This isn't the case in English. In fact, in English, we can be a little bit lazy with our vowel sounds, and particularly at the end of words. However, we do like our consonants, and sometimes we put them together, which means we have to make 2 or even 3 consonant sounds immediately after each other. It is because Spanish speakers don't like these sounds, you often say things like Spain instead of just Spain, or sport instead of sport. You often add a vowel sound at the start of the word where there is none, and you do this to make the consonant sounds at the start easier to pronounce. It's not Spain, of course, it's Spain. There's no sound. It's sport and not sport. In this lesson, we're going to look at 2 of those common consonant combinations which can be difficult for Spanish speakers. So the first complicated consonant combination is when we put the S and K together at the end of a word. Examples include ask, mask, task, flask, and desk. You need to realize that the S and K sounds in these words are 2 distinct sounds and must be pronounced separately, but in a fluid way. Let's take a look at the 2 sounds separately. S, k, s, k, sk, sk. Practice it. Isk, isk. Make sure you're getting the K sound in your throat. K, k, k. You need to work the muscles in your throat to get this sound. Now I'm going to exaggerate this sound a lot here so that you can hear it clearly. In reality, it doesn't need to be this strong, but it does need to be strong enough to be heard. Ask, mask, task, flask, desk. Notice how I keep pronouncing the S sound right up to the K sound. I don't stop after the S and then make a K. It's not like desk or mask. Go and try these words in your speech-to-text recognition, and don't forget to keep pushing the S sound before the K. So let's have a look at them and the possible incorrect results. You may be saying axe instead of ask, max instead of mask, tax instead of task, or flax instead of flask, and dex or text instead of desk, etc. If you are getting these incorrect results, then you are pronouncing an X instead of the sk sound. And this is quite a common mistake. You need to get these right before we move on to the next challenge. So go back and try them again in your speech-to-text recognition. If you want, you can listen to their pronunciations in wordreference.com or in Google Translate. Listening to a different voice pronounce these words can help you. So hopefully you have been able to pronounce those sounds and have got the correct results in your speech-to-text recognition. Now things are going to get a little bit more complicated because we are going to add another consonant at the end of these words to pluralize these nouns, or in the case of ask, to put it in the third person singular. This is difficult and there's no point continuing if you haven't been able to pronounce them in the singular. So let's have a look at how we put this SKS sound together. Does that sound challenging? The trick here is to continue to push air through your tongue for the S sound whilst also making the K sound. You don't stop making the S sound. Listen. Did you notice how I don't stop with the S sound? The air keeps coming through and I make the K sound at the same time. Stop the K sound and continue with the S at the end. Don't adjust the shape of your mouth because you need to continue with the S sound after making the K. The K sound is made with the throat and doesn't need the muscles in the mouth to move. So don't move them. So let's have a look at these words again. Firstly, I am going to say them in a very natural way as a native speaker would normally pronounce them, and then I will do it a little slower with more stress. Asks, masks, tasks, flasks, desks. That's more natural way. Now I'm going to stress it a little bit for you. Asks, masks, tasks, flasks, desks. Hopefully you're able to get that. Remember, keep pushing the S and make the K sound at the middle and finish with the S. Here are the possible errors that you might get. You will see that many of them have an X at the end, and this is because you have not got that sound correct. If you are getting this, then you need to go back and practice some more. It is not correct, and the speech-to-text recognition is very accurate with this. The second consonant combination we're going to look at is the SP sound at the end of a word, sp. Now there are only two commonly used words in English with this sound at the end of these words, and these are crisp and wasp. There are others such as clasp and gasp, but you're not likely to ever need them. By the way, crisp has a few meanings in English, but the most likely time you're ever going to use it is when you want to order these. In British English, we call them crisps, and in American English, they are called potato chips. We all know that children love crisps, so it's one of the first words they have to learn to pronounce, and they don't get it right at first. English-speaking children tend to make the same mistake that maybe you make, and they are not able to pronounce the first S. So they tend to say crips instead of crisps. The other word is wasp, which is of course that insect we all love to have flying around us. Anyway, back to the pronunciation. We have the same challenge here where we have to put two consonant sounds together in quick succession. The P sound should be easier than the K sound. So in the singular, this shouldn't be a major problem for you, but you need to make sure to pronounce the P at the end. Crisp, wasp. Make sure to pronounce the P. Go and practice those two words in your speech-to-text recognition now. I hope you didn't get these words in your speech-to-text recognition. It can get a little bit tricky when we need to pluralize these words. To do this successfully, we continue pushing the S sound and simply close our lips briefly to make the P sound, and open them to continue pushing the air through for the S sound again. Crisps, wasps. Now, I hope you didn't get crips, which is what the young children sometimes say when learning to speak. And if you get pops or whoops or some other nonsensical word for wasps, then you need to go back and practice some more.